you know, there's so much retrospectivist, you know, like Rachel's part of this band that like is like trying to capture this thing from the 60s and the 70s, and we're doing this thing together where we're trying to capture this thing from the 30s and 40s, and I think it's sort of, you know, there's a temptation to be like, man, just keep moving, you know, and I totally respect that vision of things. But I think the other thing is like with the invention of the record, music it was a catalyst that made music change. Like, you guys, I mean, I say this often and people don't really realize it, but it's a very simple idea, which is, in order to hear music, you used to have to be in the room with a musician. And like the fact that that's no longer true kind of makes music different. So music like developed much slower in a situation in which if you wanted to hear music, you had to go find a musician. You had to pay for music. You had to be in the bar listening to the guy playing the accordion or playing the, you know, ukulele or whatever. And they slowed down music because then you would have to go home and write your own music and find another musician, find 10 musicians and put it together and play that music. And then when the record was invented, you could go home and listen to music, and it didn't have to be this interactive thing anymore. It didn't have to be. It often was, but it didn't have to be. And so like that catalyst meant that like the 30s sound is different from the 40s sound, it's different from the 50s sound, it's 60s, 70s, 80s, and it kind of is always changing, and it's going so fast that if you stopped, if you can go back and be like, what would I have been like as a songwriter in the 30s? What would I have been like as a songwriter in the 60s? And it's kind of tempting to be like, anything that I write is necessarily sort of original and wouldn't be something that person would write, but I'm just trying to capture something that is like, if I was with those guys, you know, if I was with Berlin or Gershwin, they might be like, ugh, God, man, that guy again. But I think they wouldn't have been like, you are so weird because you've heard the Beatles, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to capture something that is like, you know, of that time and could have been a sort of novel idea in 1936.
Never heard you talk so much. Asked more questions.
Well, that's interesting what you're saying though, because I love that idea.
These tears are all I ever need.